What if you stopped chasing time? Really, imagine this. No longer waking up feeling rushed, no longer haunted by regrets or fixated on tomorrow. What if you could cut the invisible tether pulling you back into the past and stop worrying about a future that hasn't yet arrived? Instead of running through life like you're late for something, imagine living fully in the only place where life actually happens, right here, right now. Sound impossible? It's not. Here's the truth. Most of us are trapped not by our circumstances, but by an illusion so pervasive we rarely notice it. It's the illusion of time, and it shapes everything we think, feel, and do. Let me ask you, do you ever feel like you're falling behind? Like no matter how much you accomplish, there's a clock ticking somewhere, reminding you it's still not enough. You're not alone. We've all been there. But what if I told you something radical? Time as you know it isn't real. And once you break free from its illusion, life begins to change in ways you never thought possible. Stay with me. By the end of this conversation, you'll discover how to let go of time's grip, live fully in the now, and experience a kind of freedom that countless people spend their entire lives searching for. Life doesn't have to feel like a race. You don't need to chase after it. When you stop running, everything changes. Fad, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll feel the weight of time begin to dissolve. You'll discover the freedom of living completely in the now, and I'll give you actionable steps that will help anchor you into this timeless presence, no matter where you are in life. But first, let's confront the problem. Let's address the thing we rarely stop to question. Why does time control us in the first place? Let's start here. Do you remember the first time you felt the weight of time? For most of us, it begins when we're young. We have to wake up at a certain hour, go to school, come home, do homework, and sleep. The days are structured, divided into hours and deadlines, and at some point, we learn that our worth is tied to how efficiently we can navigate this structure. We grow older, and the weight grows heavier. Society teaches us to fear time slipping away, as if there's some invisible clock ticking against us. By your 20 seconds, you should have figured out your career. By your 30 seconds, you should be successful, settled, and secure. By your 40 seconds, you should have something to show for it all. And if you don't, well, the world will waste no time telling you that you're behind. But here's where it gets truly heavy. This pressure doesn't just come from outside us. It begins to live inside us. We internalize it. We live in our heads, haunted by what we should have done and what we still need to achieve. We measure ourselves, not by how deeply we live today, but by how much closer we think we've come to some far-off goal. And this is how it happens. Life passes us by. We rush through mornings without tasting them, thinking about the tasks ahead of us. We lose connection with our loved ones, too caught up in worries to fully listen. We move through days, weeks, years, promising ourselves that once we've ticked enough boxes on our mental checklist, then we'll finally rest. But that rest never comes, because the checklist only grows longer. Ask yourself this: has chasing time ever brought you peace? Or has it left you feeling like no matter how much you do, it's never enough? The problem isn't you. The problem is the belief that you're running out of time. But here's the truth. Society never tells us. Linear time is not real, and there's a way out. The problem begins with how we think about time. We imagine it as a straight line, a timeline stretching from birth to death, with milestones and deadlines scattered along the way. But this way of thinking is flawed because it reduces the infinite richness of life into something mechanical and transactional. As the philosopher Alan Watts famously said, we suffer because we confuse the present moment with our mental image of it. Think about that for a moment. What you call the future exists only in your imagination. And the past? It exists only in your memory. Neither of these places is real. The only thing you can experience is this present moment. Everything you're worried about, your future, your goals, your regrets, it's all happening in your mind. Meanwhile, the reality of life is right here, waiting for your attention. The feeling of the chair beneath you, the sound of my voice, the air moving in and out of your lungs. This is what's real, Everything else, a story. When you finally see this truth, something incredible happens. Your mental race slows down. You stop trying to manipulate time because you realize it isn't time you're chasing, it's presence. So how does this illusion of time keep us trapped? There are three powerful mechanisms at play. First, the past, chains of regret. Our minds replay the past like a broken record. Missed opportunities, failed relationships, moments we wish we handled differently. But every time we relive these memories, we forget something vital. The past is static. You can no more change it than you can unring a bell. Second, the future, the what-if factory. Meanwhile, we'd project ourselves into the future, creating worst-case scenarios, detailed plans, and endless what-ifs. But here's the paradox. No amount of planning or worrying can fully control what lies ahead. What's more, overthinking the future only makes us paralyzed in the present. Last, the productivity obsession. In modern culture, we've been conditioned to worship productivity. The more you do, the more you're worth. But this obsession makes us forget something essential. We weren't born to be machines. Life's deepest joys, connection, beauty, rest, are slow, spacious, and infinitely present. These mechanisms hijack our attention and drain our energy. The result? We become disconnected from the very thing that makes life meaningful, the richness of now. But how do we break free? How do we stop living like prisoners of time and anchor ourselves back into the present? It starts with awareness. Here are three powerful practices to begin. First, the morning stillness ritual. Before you start your day, before you touch your phone or plan your schedule, spend 5 minutes in complete silence. Listen to the sounds around you. Watch the light as it shifts through the room. Let this be your reminder. Life begins here, not in the clock. Second, label your thoughts. Throughout your day, notice how often your mind pulls you into the past or future. When it happens, don't judge, simply label it. A past thought or a future worry. This simple habit will bring you back to the now. Third, create timeless moments. Choose one activity, something small, like having tea or folding laundry, and perform it without a clock nearby. Slow it down. Make it a meditation. These practices are seeds. With time, they'll grow into something transformative. Imagine for a moment what life would feel like if you stopped being at war with time. What if you let go of all the stories your mind tells you about who you were and who you're supposed to become, and simply showed up fully in the gift of this moment? Close your eyes and think about it. How would it feel to stop running, to stop comparing where you are to where you think you should be? To stop measuring your worth in terms of your productivity or progress? It's hard to imagine, isn't it? Presence feels almost alien to us because we've spent so much of our lives disconnected from it. Yet when we catch glimpses of it, even for a moment, it feels unlike anything else. Do you remember the last time you truly felt timeless? You probably didn't call it that, but you've experienced it before. Maybe it was watching the sky turn golden at sunset. Maybe it was holding someone's hand and feeling their heartbeat align with yours. Maybe it was sitting in complete stillness, noticing the rhythm of your breath. In those moments, there were no regrets about the past or worries about the future. There was only now. And in those moments, everything felt enough. This is what's possible when you begin to live timelessly, not as some abstract spiritual concept, but as a practical, daily truth. But here's the challenge. The mind resists this simplicity. It wants to pull you back into the illusion of time at every opportunity. So how do we build resistance? The answer lies in awareness. Most people live life on autopilot. They wake up, check their phones, rush through the day worrying about what they need to do next, and go to bed feeling like they didn't accomplish enough. But breaking free begins with noticing. Awareness is the first step in disarming time's grip on your life. The next time you find yourself deep in worry about the future or regret about the past, try this. First, pause and acknowledge. Say to yourself, I see what's happening. I'm living in a story. Simply naming this mental habit creates space between you and the thought, weakening its control. Second, Shift to your senses. Bring your attention away from your mind and place it into your body. What can you feel right now? Notice the ground beneath you, the textures of everything around you, the sound of distant noises or the rhythm of your breathing. Last, reframe the moment. Ask yourself, if I wasn't afraid of time running out, how would I show up for this moment differently? What would I let go of? These small but profound techniques help you break free of time's grasp. But remember, awareness isn't a one-time fix. It's a lifelong practice. And like any skill, it gets stronger the more you use it. Let's shift gears and talk about how timeless living affects your relationships. So many of the stories we tell ourselves about other people are grounded in time. She never forgave me for what I said last year. I need to fix this relationship by next week. It's been too long since we talked. Maybe they don't care anymore. But when you step out of time, a beautiful thing happens in your connections. You stop holding on to resentment for the past or attaching expectations to the future. Instead, you bring your full self into the present with others. Let me show you how this plays out tangibly, letting go of grudges. Grudges are nothing more than a story about the past. Have you noticed how the more you replay them in your mind, the more the story solidifies, creating deeper resentment? Timelessness teaches you that holding on to the past only deepens your suffering. When you let go of the time-bound story, you create space for forgiveness, not for their sake, but for yours. Living in authentic love. Love, in its purest form, doesn't depend on time. It doesn't demand that someone change in the future or that they atone for their past mistakes. Love simply thrives in the present. Imagine showing up for the people in your life not as the version of them you wish they'd become, but as the messy, imperfect person they are right now. This is where connection happens, freedom from approval seeking. One of the sneakiest ways time holds us hostage is through the need for approval. You think, how can I make them like me? Am I doing enough for them to care about me in the long run? But timelessness frees you from this cycle. When you're truly present, you no longer perform for someone else's validation. You simply show up as yourself, letting the connection unfold naturally. Presence turns transactional relationships into soulful ones. It shifts arguments into understanding and misunderstandings into chances for growth. Here's a radical thought. What if you stopped seeing your life as something to fix or optimize and started seeing it as something to experience? For decades, modern society has convinced us that our lives should follow a straight-line trajectory: progress, improvement, productivity. But when you view life through the lens of presence, success takes on a completely new meaning. Let's explore this reframing through a few questions. First, what does success look like without time? Without the pressure to hurry or achieve milestones, real success becomes something entirely different. It's not about getting somewhere. It's about deeply inhabiting where you already are. Second, how would you treat yourself differently if you embraced timelessness? You might stop rushing to become better. You might soften toward yourself, realizing there's no deadline for who you need to be. Finally, what would your daily life look like if you stopped rushing? Would you savor your meals more? Spend more time marveling at sunsets? Would you notice the small but extraordinary things you overlook every day? The ones that only the present reveals? By redefining time, you redefine living. And here's the most profound realization of all. Timelessness doesn't make life less meaningful. It makes every single moment intensely, vividly alive. Let's take our earlier practices even further with more advanced steps for cultivating timeless presence. First, timeless gratitude practices. Every evening before bed, recall 3 specific moments in your day when you felt fully alive, times when you weren't consumed by the clock. Write them down. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to seek presence naturally. Second, time-free zones. Make time invisible in certain areas of your life. Take one room in your house, perhaps your bedroom or a reading nook, and remove all clocks, phones, and screens. Let it be your sacred space, free from the grip of time. Last, expand the gaps. Between every interaction or task, pause. Some call this the sacred pause. Resist the urge to jump straight into the next thing. Breathe. Center yourself. Approach each moment like it's the most precious thing in the universe, because it is. These aren't just feel-good practices. They're pathways into a richer, more grounded existence. We've talked about how timeless presence can free us from personal illusions, the grip of regret, the weight of worry, and the endless chase for more. But the power of timelessness doesn't stop with your internal world. When you step fully into the present moment, you begin to profoundly affect the world around you. Think about it. Imagine what life would feel like if every interaction, every conversation, every decision you made came from a place of calm presence. Not fear, not rush, not external pressure, but steady inner peace. Suddenly, your choices wouldn't be driven by what others expect of you or what you need to achieve to prove your worth. You wouldn't need the approval of society or permission to pursue your joy. You'd simply respond to life as it is, moment by moment, with curiosity and grace. Let's take this even further. What if timeless presence wasn't just a personal practice? What if it became the foundation for how we collectively lived, loved, and worked together? The world today is obsessed with speed, faster technology, faster solutions, faster productivity. But here's the irony. In rushing forward, humanity seems to become more disconnected from the earth, from each other, and even from ourselves. Let's take a step back. Imagine if society embraced timeless living as a cultural norm. What would change? Workspaces would shift. Instead of being driven by deadlines and numbers, workplaces could prioritize creativity, connection, and mindfulness. People wouldn't clock in just for efficiency. They'd be encouraged to bring their fullest, most present selves to their work. Relationships would deepen. Families and communities wouldn't rush through their time together. Conversations wouldn't be hurried by schedules or multitasking. They'd be met with attention and care, every word holding meaning. Environmental care would improve. If we lived timelessly, we'd no longer see nature as a resource to exploit quickly or at the expense of future generations. We'd see it as a living, breathing presence to honor right now. It may sound idealistic, but here's the good news. Change begins with you. Every small step you take toward living in the present moment creates a ripple effect, a shift that others feel and respond to in kind. Don't underestimate the power of small, mindful actions. One person living timelessly can inspire countless others simply by showing them what peace looks like. If you want timelessness to move beyond daily habits and become a way of living, here are advanced practices for deeper integration. First, the Presence Journal. Commit to writing in a journal not as a way to plan your future, but as a way to deepen your presence. Every night, write about what felt alive for you today. Brush. List moments when you noticed the beauty of now. Reflect on what freed you from fear or pressure and what still pulls you toward time-based thinking. By journaling, you'll begin to track your own transformation. Second, timeless acts of kindness. Every week, find one person you can interact with completely from a place of presence. Whether you're buying someone a coffee or simply smiling at a stranger on the street, let your action come from pure presence, not obligation, not rush, but timeless care. Finally, break the someday habit. We often tell ourselves, someday I'll do X. Someday I'll travel. Someday I'll learn that skill. Someday I'll call them. But timelessness teaches you that someday doesn't exist. It's always now or never. This week, pick one thing you've been putting off for later and do it now. These practices help bridge the gap between knowing timelessness intellectually and embodying it fully. Here's an important question. If timeless presence is so freeing, why are most people resistant to it? The answer lies in fear. As humans, we've grown comfortable living in the illusion of control. We think by holding on to regrets from the past or predicting circumstances in the future, we're keeping ourselves safe. But this safety is a facade. It's actually what causes most of our suffering. When you let go of time, you're forced to face the truth. You aren't in control. Life is unpredictable. Each moment is fleeting. Yet this truth, scary as it seems, is also incredibly liberating. You don't need control. You don't need to figure it all out. You simply need to be here. With practice, you'll realize that the present moment holds everything you've been searching for: connection, clarity, and peace. So ask yourself, are you ready to release control in exchange for freedom? Let's return to the idea of relationships. Timeless presence doesn't just create peace internally, it heals bonds externally. Here's a challenge you might resonate with. How often do you reopen wounds in your relationships because of what happened in the past? Maybe someone hurt you, embarrassed you, disappointed you years or even decades ago. Timeless presence invites you to ask, is that hurt alive now, or am I keeping it alive with my mental story? Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who once ignored you when you needed their help. You might replay that moment in your head, feeling bitterness every time you see them. But the act of replaying builds a mental wall between you and their humanity. Now imagine meeting them today as though you'd never carried a grudge. Imagine seeing them fully in the present, not through the lens of the past, but with fresh eyes. Wouldn't you find compassion? Wouldn't you notice that just like you, they've grown, changed, struggled, and stumbled along their own path? Timelessness doesn't erase the past. It simply allows us to stop carrying it like a burden. It gives us permission to live here, now, with openness instead of judgment. The gift you give others when you release the past is the same one you give yourself. Lightness. Let's try something together. Close your eyes. Imagine this very moment, not as part of a timeline, but as its own world, clean, whole, untouched by anything before or anything after. Picture yourself standing at a doorway. On the other side of the door is the past, all your regrets, struggles, mistakes. Behind each regret is a story you've told yourself about, who you are or what you haven't done well enough. Now, step forward and close the door. Let the past fall away. Let it dissolve into nothingness. On the other side, imagine another doorway, this time opening toward the future. That's where your anxieties are hiding, what you've yet to accomplish, the milestones you're racing toward, the fear of running out of time. Close that door too. Stand completely still between the two. Notice how peaceful it feels, how quiet. This is presence. This is timelessness. This is your life, the way it's always been meant to be lived. When you feel ready, open your eyes. If there is one message I hope to leave you with, it's this. Life isn't measured in seconds, minutes, years, or accomplishments. It's measured in moments of presence. The real question is, how many of those moments will you allow yourself to experience? Every second is an invitation back to the now. Every breath is a doorway into freedom. You don't need to chase it. Let's pause and reflect on the journey we've taken throughout this conversation. We started by confronting the illusion of time, the way it grips our thoughts, shapes our actions, and keeps us disconnected from the present. We explored how this mental construct distorts our perception of life, pulling us into endless cycles of regret and worry. And yet, through every moment of awareness, through each practice of presence, we've uncovered something innately powerful and true. Life is not happening in the past or future. Life is always, inescapably, unfolding here, now. When you truly embrace this, everything changes. The pressure to meet milestones, gone. The fear of running out of time, released. The need to define yourself by your productivity, dissolved. In place of these heavy burdens, you find stillness and clarity. You step into each moment fully alive, meeting yourself and the world with vulnerability and grace. This is the gift of timelessness. Here's a question for you. What if life isn't about adding more, but letting go? We spend so much of our energy clinging to the illusion that time matters. We worry about the years we've lost. We regret the things we didn't accomplish. We fear what tomorrow may bring. But timeless living asks us to release all of this. It asks us to let go of labels, deadlines, and expectations. It doesn't ask us to abandon ambition or responsibility. It simply asks us to soften, to approach life with an open heart instead of a tight grip. Have you ever noticed how the most meaningful moments in life, the ones that stick with you forever, happen when you stop chasing time? Think back to moments of pure presence. The first time you held someone you loved and nothing else mattered. The quiet joy of watching raindrops slide across a window on a slow afternoon. The feeling of peace that washes over you when you lie under a starry night sky. These moments don't come from doing more. They arise from simply being. When you stop chasing time, you don't lose your goals or ambitions. You gain something far greater, the ability to meet life exactly as it is, and trust that you're already enough. If this resonates with you, I want to invite you into the practice of timeless living. Let's begin with 3 simple but profound commitments. First, choosing presence daily. Every morning, remind yourself, today, I choose presence. I don't need to rush. I don't need to fix. I simply need to show up. Second, letting go of someday thinking. Take one thing you've been postponing for later and start it now, whether it's calling someone you miss, journaling, or simply resting without guilt. Last, extending timeless connection. The next time you're with someone, whether a family member, coworker, or stranger, choose to listen deeply. Put aside the clock and your agenda and simply meet them where they are in this moment. These commitments might sound small, but they hold immense power. Actions grounded in timeless presence ripple outward, creating peace not only within you, but all around you. Close your eyes one last time. Picture yourself standing in an open field, surrounded by limitless space. Imagine that life isn't a race. There's no starting line, no finish line, no deadlines chasing you, just infinite, abundant presence. The wind brushes against your skin. The sun warms your face. And in this moment, nothing needs fixing. Nothing needs rushing. You're complete, exactly as you are. When you open your eyes, carry this feeling into your life. Remember, you're always standing in that field. It's only your mind that convinces you otherwise. You don't need to run anymore. You don't need to chase time. You can simply live. If you take one message from this video, let it be this: you'll never be out of time. You are infinite, timeless in your being. Every breath, every heartbeat, it's all happening exactly when it's meant to. When you let go of the illusion of time, you reclaim the ultimate freedom, the ability to live fully, deeply, truly in the one place that matters, the present moment. So, as you move forward today, tomorrow, and beyond, use my gentle encouragement. Pause. Look around you. Feel the aliveness of the now. Let life unfold without rushing, without clinging, without worrying. Trust in its flow, and know that just by being here, you are already enough. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. I'm honored to walk this timeless journey with you. Before we'll part, let me invite you to take one small but powerful action. If this resonated with you, write these words in the comment section below. I choose to live timelessly. Let this be not just a statement, but a promise to yourself. And if you'd like to join us in creating more space for presence and peace, don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Together, let's build a community that thrives in the richness of now, one moment, one breath at a time. Thank you for being here. You're already timeless.